There's something else going on here. The moon program, the cover-ups, the assassinations, it's all led to this.
I was raised in a milieu where I was taught that communism leads to dictatorship and that capitalism leads to democracy. But it's not that simple.
The essence of a politician, of the political animal, is the pursuit of power.
You can say what you want about this country, and I love this place. I love the freedoms we used to have. I love it. I love that.
So what do they get when they are elected to office? They get power, not money, power.
Free market capitalism definitely democratizes a country and a culture. But corporate crony capitalism of the kind we're seeing with this White House is as antithetical to democracy in America as it is in Nigeria.
Power of concentrated wealth shall not be abused.
Americans have to understand the difference between free market capitalism, which benefits our country, and this kind of corporate crony capitalism where we have large corporations running our government, and there's a name for that, and the name is fascism.
And we know now that government by organized money is just as dangerous as government by organized mob.
A need to dominate, a need to control, and again, above all, a need to dominate.
The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything.
Big Brother is watching you and the little people.
Obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money.
It's not a conspiracy.
And what he found was no criminal conspiracy.
It can't really be a conspiracy.
There's no conspiracy?
No conspiracy.
Everyone is saying the exact same thing on the exact same day. It's almost as if there was some kind of, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of larger plan.
A need to control, a need to dominate, which is what leads people into politics.
The temptation to use public power and play God is almost irresistible.
I am Oz, the great and powerful.
As of now, I am in control here.
To the corrupt, thieving politicians of America.
We're not going to transform our fine FBI into a Gestapo secret.
And Franklin Roosevelt said that. He said fascism is the control of government by large corporations for their own benefit. And and I close with this, I have an American Heritage Dictionary, the last edition, which I keep at home, which defines fascism as the control of government by large corporations with right-wing ideology driven by bellicose nationalism. If that sounds familiar to a lot of you.
Decisions are made on bases other than what is best for the country and what is best for the ordinary people in this country. They have other motives, other drives, other wants, other needs, and they exercise them.
I'm reminded of Tocqueville's remark is when tyranny comes to the United States, he said it will be very, very quiet, and it'll be the sleep that comes over the somnolence that comes over quiet, pacific industrial animals, comparing us to sheep out in the meadow.
We were sure that ours was a nation of the ballot, not the bullet, until the murders of John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King, Jr. We were taught that our armies were always invincible and our causes were always just.
Jesus, Gandhi, Lincoln, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, John Lennon, they all said, try to live together peacefully. Bam!
While survival of the fittest may be a good working description of the process of evolution, a government of humans should elevate itself to a higher order.
We apply social values more noble than mere monetary profit.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long, when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care.
The note is that we have dumbed the public down to the point where I think most people don't realize what they're missing. They don't know what's out there.
The great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is not a message of happiness or reassurance, but it is the truth, and it is a warning.
We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. It's confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
White House Press Secretary Malcolm Kilduff has just announced that President Kennedy died at approximately 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is about 35 minutes ago.
After being shot by an unknown assailant during a motorcade drive through downtown Dallas.
In history, there are events which stand as milestones, marking points of no return. Usually, however, such moments are only visible in hindsight. The Enabling Act passed by Hitler in 1933, followed by the Reichstag Fire Decree, were passed in Germany with little resistance and without public outcry. And even though those laws nullified the German Constitution and handed the power of life and death over all German citizens to one man, no one noticed that the line had been crossed. No one expected the chain of events which were destined to unfold. No one understood that Germany had already passed the point of no return. On December 15, 2011, on the 220-year anniversary of the ratification of the Bill of Rights, the U.S. Senate passed the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012. The bill officially gives the military the right to arrest anyone, U.S. citizen or otherwise, and to hold them indefinitely without trial. And since the government will not be required to produce one shred of evidence to support its claims, a mere accusation of belligerent activities is now all that is needed to declare you an enemy combatant and to make you disappear forever. You might hope that such powers will never be used, but history consistently proves otherwise. Throughout history, it has been the norm for political dissidents to be imprisoned and executed without due process. Throughout history, it has been the norm for political opponents to be taken from their homes in the middle of the night on charges of treason. When a government assigns itself the power to imprison and kill without trial, its motives are always the same. The United States is not an exception. If there was any lingering shadow of doubt in your mind that we have passed the point of no return, it should be gone now. If it isn't, then you aren't paying attention. We are in the 11th hour. We are witnessing the final stages of the police state falling into place. The stage is set, and we have very little time to influence the events that are headed our way. Right now, we must form a coalition across the left and the right. We must set aside our petty differences, no matter how important we think those differences are. We must unify against our common enemy. Our government has become a mere figurehead to the real powers that be. The Congress, the Senate, the executive branch do not represent our interest. They are bought and paid for. They are corrupt beyond all repair, and they deserve nothing less than to be arrested and tried for high treason. We the people have the power to take them down. It's in our hands right now. The government's power is derived solely from our obedience. Its wealth is derived solely from our labor. Its strength is actually our strength. Take it back from them. If in one unified strike we withdraw our money from the banks which have gorged on taxpayer dollars and cut off all payments, credit cards, loans, and taxes, if we refuse them our obedience and our labor and stand in defiance with clear intent, we will bring the machine to its knees. But we can only achieve this if we look past the artificial dividing line of left and right and act in unison as one people, as one nation, indivisible and focused on our goal. We must mobilize as if our lives and our children's lives depended on it, because they do. This is the 11th hour.
And when they say, I want my lawyer, you tell them, shut up.
Your time is expired.
Get a lawyer. You're an enemy combatant.
You lied to us. You've made a grave mistake.